Without the power of God behind everything I do, I really am completely inadequate.
I'm helping the culture. These guys are part of us as well. You know, these are guys of our cousin. I'm helping the culture. I'm pushing the culture forward in another way.
Hey, black child, be what you can be, learn what you must learn, do what you can do, and tomorrow.
What do you do after you read? What do you do after you know all, right? And you can say that you're truly conscious. How are you putting what you know into action?
This is the Initiative Radio Show, shifting the paradigm through conversation on any and everything relating to our communities and culture. Now introducing your new girl, Jasmine Renee.
What's up? I don't know if you can hear me. What's up? Again, if you couldn't. It's your new girl, Jasmine Renee. I'm a few minutes late, but I'm in the studio at the Good News Radio Station, bringing to you the Initiative Radio Show. I'm glad to be here, as always. This is the beginning of my Saturday, and Saturdays are usually busy, so I'm definitely excited to be here, as I always am. I'm trying to get my hair right, because I just got here, so I didn't get a chance to, look in my camera. And Keith is coming, and, Keith likes to take pictures, so I had to make sure everything is right. All right, Keith said he hears me. But, yeah, so I can get into my week. This week, Lord Jesus, was a lot. It was just too much. It was, as a woman and just going through some physical things, and everything is okay, but I kind of went through somewhat of a minor scare, and just going through that and not really knowing, and then finally getting on top of everything, and then just everyday life, it's just a lot. And it's not even everyday things. This week was a little more excessive, I will say, but it was just a lot. I'm definitely glad to have made it out. It's Thanksgiving break for me, and we have a week off, and I'm not even, legitimately excited about having this week off. I'm yo, I need this money, or let me get some more money, just because, that's kind of the mindset I'm on. I'm I don't really want to take breaks unless, I'm traveling or something, so just being here is not really going to do anything for me. However, I really won't be off because y'all know that I coach, and I'll be coaching all the way up until Wednesday, working really long days at the high school. But I will be off Thursday and Friday, so I guess I am kind of still getting a check, or actually am getting a check. But let's get this music going, because the music that I picked today is pretty dope. I hope it's not too loud. But yeah, so Keith, let me know if the music is too loud. And no, it wasn't a pregnancy scare. It was actually the opposite of a pregnancy scare. So, no, I did not think that I was pregnant. That wouldn't be a scary thing if I did think that I was pregnant. But anyways, yeah, so that's that. Keith is always doing the most. But also this week, at the beginning of my week, shout out to my cousin James, if he's listening. He's an avid listener. He invited me to the Steve Harvey show, and when I tell you, I really care for Steve Harvey. I genuinely I follow his family. I follow him. When I was younger, me and my father used to watch the Steve Harvey show, even when it came to him being at the Apollo. Just Steve Harvey, the Steve Harvey morning show on KJLH, Steve Harvey is just something that has been a part of it. I've been entertained by him through all aspects of my life, and I didn't really realize that. I knew, when it comes to Steve Harvey, it's yeah, I mess with Steve Harvey, I love Steve Harvey or whatever, but seeing him, and he said on numerous occasions, he was homeless and stuff, and he went through so much, but even sitting here talking about it, I'm just that man is a miracle walking. And like the crazy thing about it, and what I hope I stay true to, is that who he is as a person, who he is at his core, did not change. Like, I was telling somebody, I'm just like, yeah, like Steve Harvey is like an OG nigga. Like, he's just just the epitome of what I think black men should be. Like, when we talk about we go through so much and living in the hood and going through like all the struggles that we go through, like, he's that image that I have once black men get out of that. Like, they grow up and they mature into like being a nigga, like a grown nigga. And when I say nigga, it's no negative connotation to it. Like, I have that word just means so much to me, and I'm like, it's something that, you know, I've just held dear to. So like, seeing him in all of his glory and like hearing him talk about his stories, like, we know Steve Harvey is very emotional, and he literally was sitting over there talking about like one time when he was what was he doing? He said that, what's up, Keith? Keith is in the building. Steve Harvey basically was saying that he gave this story about let me show love to Keith. You'll probably want to hear this story too.
I know. Listen, I changed the volume on here, so it's always louder than you think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm like the mic. They did sound louder in my ears, but yeah. So I went to Steve Harvey show. That's what I was saying, and he basically told this story about how, like, you know, we all know that he was homeless for about 3 or 4 years, and he told this story about how he was in Florida and he had the twins, Carly, and I forgot the other one's name, but he had the twins, and he was with his first wife, and the thing was like, yo, if you decide to go and push this comedy thing, we won't be here when you get back. And he was kind of like, yo, I really have to go do this. Like, I'm not supporting my family. And he went to Florida, and he was homeless, and he said he would go like to these nice hotels and he would wash himself up in the bathrooms of the lobbies. And he would go and do that. He said he'd been doing this for a while, and he would go get like the linen and he would rinse it. Put water on it, and he would get soap and like soap himself up. And then when everybody left the bathroom, he would go out and go rinse those towels out and go wash the soap off. And he said one day, like, he was stuck because there were so many people coming in the bathroom that he couldn't run out to go rinse the towels out to get the soap to come off. And he said he sat there and he was just like, yo, like, I really don't want to do this again. Like, I'm really sick and tired of this. Like, if this is it, God, like, let me know. Like, tell me today. And he said he went to go and call his voicemail, and he had a voicemail for a gig that was $150 and like 3 hours away from where he was in Florida. And he's like, okay, you know, $150 ain't really gonna do nothing, but I don't have a way there, and yada yada yada, whatever. So then he gets another call, and it was for the Apollo, to come and do an act for the Apollo or whatever. But he didn't have the money. So he was like, well, maybe if I try to at least get to this gig that's 3 hours away, I can get this $150. And then after I get the $150, I can try and see what I can do before Sunday. So that gig was Friday. So he had Saturday and Sunday basically to figure it out. So he said right before he hung up, no, he went to the gig that was 3 hours away in Florida. He got the $150, and he was like, he did so well that they asked him to come back the next night, which was Saturday. So he went back the next night. He got $150 on Friday. He got $150 on Saturday. And he said there was a special from Florida to New York. It was a $99 flight round trip. So he said he went to go do that, and he sat there, and he went to the Apollo, and he's there early in the morning. He's like, he has these bags, and the guy's like, all right, come back at 8. And he's like, I can't come back at 8. Like, I have these bags. I'm in Harlem. Like, you know, I look like I'm not from out here. Like, they're definitely going to come steal this stuff from me. So the guy's like, all right, you got to stay up. So Steve doesn't go on until like 11 o'clock at night, and it's like 10 o'clock in the morning. So eventually he gets hungry. He goes, and the dude is like, if you're not back in 20 minutes, you're not getting on. You're not, or whatever. So he says he gets back, he goes to get some chicken or something. He said he gets back, and he's in the room, and around like 8, 9 o'clock, he said it was him, Jamie Foxx, D.L. Hughley, and somebody else was in there. But he's like, when you hear those names now, you're like, oh, y'all was lit. And he was like, we were nobodies at that time. He was like, we were nobodies. Nobody knew who we were. We didn't even know each other. Like, it was just all, we were all trying to, like, get to the next level. And he said, D.L. Hughley, he went up and they booed him. He said Jamie went up and they booed Jamie. He said Jamie started singing and they started messing with him, and then he started telling jokes again, so then they booed him again. So he was like, it was his time. He said he was like throwing up and he was hungry again and he was nervous. So he went up and he told these jokes, and he said the crowd went crazy, and he got $750 that night. And from then he went back home, and of course he had to struggle a little bit more, but the Apollo called him back, and basically that was the call that got him the gig for being the host of Amateur Night. And he said he was the longest running host, and it was 8 years for Amateur Night at the Apollo. And he basically got the call to go open at the Apollo while he was homeless in his car, like bathing in the hotel, like the bathroom lobbies. And listening to that story, it was just kind of like to see him where he was then. Like, he kind of turned around and was just like as he was crying, he was just like looked at like this is his show that he's on, and he's just like, look at everything that he's created. And it was like, it wasn't even inspiring, but it was just like, I was grateful to be able to be in his presence, to like hear who he was and hear like the struggles that he went through. And granted, I haven't been homeless and I haven't went through that like rock bottom moment, but I hope I don't have to. But it was just dope to literally hear him telling his story and to see him being like emotional, and then to also be able to look up and see what he has created for himself. He did.
I think that's part of his act.
You think so?
I think it's part of his act, only because I went to a Steve Harvey show as well.
And he cried?
And he told it wasn't the same story, but he told a story that had the same effect.
Right.
And he cried too.
But but
it's cool though.
If you
I felt
like, but
that's all right.
I mean, if you could connect with those feelings, I think it's just a different type of person that he is. Like, it doesn't, even when you see him like on videos and stuff, it never seems like, and it's like, yo, if you out here really like rehearsing this, like, okay,
he's still the GOAT.
He is, and I'm like, that's what I was saying. Like, I can literally look back on my whole life and see where there's a point where Steve Harvey, or we were watching Steve Harvey, or where he was something that I was listening to, or he was on the show, and now he's like across a whole bunch of different networks, and he's on KJLH every morning. So I'm like, he's doing his thing, and he's working hard, and like he's preparing his family, and I feel like he still is true to who he is at his core. So I hope even as things progress for me in my life, I hope that I still like remain who Jazz is. And I feel like at the end of the day, Steve is still who Steve was when he was living in his car.
And do you know what I like about him the most is because people feel guilty about like getting wealthy, or like people have a guilt trip. They, like, I don't know. That's why everybody say, "Oh, I don't want to be rich. I just want to," because it's like associated with like negativity or guilt, and you don't want to deal with it. He gloats very humbly, if that makes sense. He don't mind telling like, "Look, I'm rich,"
right? Which he did on the show, because Anthony Anderson came in, and Anthony Anderson was like, I was talking to Steve one day, and he told me he spent 6 figures not on the whole vacation for the boat rental while he was on vacation. He was like, Steve told me to start paying in 2018 for your vacation in 2022. And he was just like, and Steve was like, yeah, that's the conversation that we did have. And it's like, when you can start paying advance for vacations, you ain't paying for bills in advance. You paying for vacation in advance. You got money.
He doing it.
And I'm like, and his kids, they're working too. Like, he was talking about his daughter, the youngest one.
She's got no driver's license. Did you talk about that one?
No, he didn't say that, but he said she doesn't want to go to college.
He has a daughter that doesn't have I think she's 23.
I think, yeah, that's the one. That's the youngest one.
And she doesn't have a driver's license. She never needed to drive.
Right.
Because he got drivers.
Right.
That's player.
Right. So, like, I mean, right. So she didn't get I mean, maybe she did get a car, but she just got a driver too.
And he didn't get a lot of his wealth until later in his life too.
Right.
Like, it wasn't young. You know, he was well
like
into,
he's
late
just
40s.
now looking like money.
Yeah.
Because when
Yeah.
he was on the Steve Harvey show, that wasn't the money that he's getting now.
No.
I think he's just now starting to like be smart with it, and like he's now able to provide for his family. And I think it's dope how he took in Marjorie's kids and he gave them his last name. And he was like, you guys, I mean, just off of like them seeing your name on the paper, you'll get into places because you have this last name. And I think that's super dope as a man to like recognize that.
He a player.
Yeah.
He a real nigga, like you said.
That's why I'm like, I love him. So shout out to Jackie. She's in the comments. If you are not up on it, Jackie has a new show called Ladies Night here at the Good News radio station on Fridays at 7:30. So make sure you tune into that. Jackie said he could just be an emotional guy. There's nothing wrong with that. She loves her some Steve Harvey. I definitely do too, and I think he is an emotional guy, but I think what he's still like, I think when I was talking about he hasn't really lost a sense of himself, I think he still understand how it feels to be in that car and not be getting anything.
I do have one bone to pick with Steve Harvey though.
Okay.
He played us for years with the hairline. And I don't appreciate that because I looked at his hairline as like the status quo for having like the dopest hairline.
Right.
And
he didn't.
God damn, his hairline is straight.
Right.
And the whole time, it was like a toupee wig. I'm kind of, I don't know. That's my only bone to pick. Like, you played me, sir. You know what I'm saying? You played me with the hair.
With the hair.
You played me with the hair.
But you know, it was you either gonna be like talked about or you just gonna get this thing going. Now he got the gray going. He like, yo, I'm about to, and I'm like, I love seeing him like comfortable. And then Anthony Anderson came on, and I'm like, what I like, cause you know I like nigga shit. And they were just boys. Like, you know, it was just like you was sitting like in the backyard and they were just talking and like talking about their kids and stuff. And it wasn't like, you know, if I bring somebody in here that I don't really know, it's like, okay, whatever. But if you come in here, be like, yo, what's up? You know, how you doing or whatever. And we talking. Yeah, so it was just like a homie approach. And I'm just like, I love this so much because I don't even think he was going off the prompt. He was just like, they started talking about their kids. He brought up his daughter, how his daughter doesn't want to go to college. And he was like, she started making good money. And he was like, what am I supposed to tell her? Go get your degree so that you can? And he was like, he put all his kids through college because he didn't go. Yeah. And he was just like, you know, and even Anthony Anderson's son, he was just like, he was on the show and he made him, which I think you would like, he made him because the show that he was on when he was in high school, he made a decent amount of money. So he told him, you have to pay 50% of your college tuition. Right. So now he's like, when he thinks about like not getting up to go to school, he like, yo, I'm paying for this too, so let me get up. As a college freshman, he's paying 50%. But it was cool just to hear them like talk about them being fathers together and how they've sat and had conversations about like their kids. Because he was like, you know, my daughter, she went to college, did all of this. He was like, my son, this dude out here, he found some money and he acted like he don't know what to do.
What you think about him firing his whole staff from when he went from Chicago to L.A.?
Steve?
Yeah, and him firing his whole staff. Like, he walked in, some of the story goes, he walked in and he said, this y'all last day. Everybody. You know, without, you know, do you have any? Know. Yeah, do you have any opinion on that?
I think, like you said, I think Steve is very still connected to, like, street. Because even when we were sitting there, I'm just like, you know, there's certain things that Oprah would do, and there's certain things that Ellen does now, and I'm like, Steve would never. And it was like, even the way, like, he gave away some things or whatever, like some money to some, because we stayed for 2 shows, so he gave away like $5,000 to this person, and me and my cousin were sitting there like, well, he should have gave money to the other person too, but he didn't. And I think he's still like, yo, y'all gotta, like, I can't give and give and give and give. Like, Oprah would just give cars to everybody. You know, Ellen is like, she's now every day just giving out stuff every show. And he's like, nah, I didn't get here for that. So I think at the end of the day, he's still like, I got to make sure that I'm good. So maybe he felt like, I'm not good with this team. And looking at how he is now, like we just said, he's making more money. He's on a bigger platform. Maybe it was the move for him. it showed to be like a positive step to the side for him to get rid of his team. And then that's what I also like everybody in there, 90% of his staff is black. 95% of his staff is black. That we saw like walking in and out of the show, they were black. So I'm like, it was really dope to see that. And then of course you saw like when their kids came out and stuff, like randomly during the breaks and stuff, like everybody showed, you know, black people, we love messing around with kids and hugging them and pinching them on the cheek. So like they it was just like really cool to be in that aspect. And you know, it's a lot of white people there, so it was just like for me to find like a connection with this person or with this staff, it was just like, it was a dope feeling to really be there and just see like Steve Harvey, because you kind of forget, you see how much, you know, you see him with the cigars in his mouth, you see Marjorie, you see his kids, and it's just like, you know, Marjorie looked like money walking, like she just looked like a bag of money. So it's just like you don't realize when you see him and his family together where he came from.
Also didn't know he was on his third marriage. That's something I learned.
Yeah, that's what he said too. He was on his third, so he was just like, you know, I'm not one to take advice from, but he was just like, you know, he needed something, and Marjorie was the one that provided it for him, and he was just like, we just living our life now, and you know, I don't know what he's doing, if he's committed to her or not. I would like to say yes, but I've been wrong a few times, so I don't know.
Rich people live different lives.
You think so? So you think what does that mean, that he is being committed or he's not?
No, I'm not saying. I'm just saying that it's the way it's identified is probably different. They have, you know, I think for a lot of people in our situation, marriage is more of a business partnership as well. For him, he doesn't need a business partnership.
It's enjoyable
for his marriage. You know what I mean? So he's probably looking at it. You know, when we get married, it's like, well, what you got? Right. You know, how can you help me?
And she was a fan.
You know,
I don't think she was doing nothing before.
Probably just had that fire.
And she's like, literally, and I'm like, even looking at their kids, I'm like, you don't even see like the daughter. I'm like, you don't see nobody like that walking around. Like, you just look like money. So, shout out to them. I really did leave, and I'm not easily like motivated and pushed, because I'm like, you know, a lot of it is all talk, but it wasn't anything that he said. It was just sitting there and knowing like what he said, you know, where he said he came from. And like I said, Steve Harvey I've been being entertained by him for a long time. So then, like you said, even on the Steve Harvey show, to see even how he looked then to how he looks now, is just like, boy, you look good. Like, you know, you look better than what you did on the show.
How old is he? I don't remember.
He's in his 60s.
I'm gonna look it up real quick.
But I was definitely motivated. Not even motivated. It was just like, it was a feel good. It was like a good feeling. When I was sitting there, it was just like, and when I left, it was more so when I left, like it just really resonated with me. So,
61.
Okay, so you just said 61. So yeah, I mean, if you guys get a chance, definitely go down to the show. I don't think you don't have to pay. Just go like look on the website and get the tickets. Yeah. But definitely go down, or even just read about like his story, or just find somebody. I know you posted about finding a mentor, finding someone that can help you like push your dream. And were you the one that posted the thing that it was like somebody else posted it? I think you did post it.
I talked about it Monday morning,
right?
About mentorship, and then I actually posted something with
today,
Lil Wayne and Drake.
Yes, yeah.
You know, so and then I posted a picture. I don't know. I guess Monday morning started my whole week about you know, mentally being about mentorship. Right. So I kind of been on that wave all week. But yeah, I
think it's important to find that somebody that can like push you. And I think a lot of times we like, as black people, sometimes as the ones that have the resources, we're like, oh, I don't want to tell nobody how I got on. And then as those that don't have the resources, we're kind of like, oh, I just want to get on my own and I don't need help. But I think it needs to be a collective effort for you to like really find out what it is that you're trying to do, because somebody else did it already. Even if you're trying to start a new business, somebody was at that door knocking, trying to, you know, get opportunities. So finding a mentor and just kind of like working, staying committed, that's something that I'm not even trying, but just working on, is just like, how do I change my mindset to not being like, oh, I need to do this, to I'm doing this, and I'm doing that. Like, how do I change my actions to actually being busy, to actually like working, to actually like producing? Yeah. And
because ants are busy.
Right. I knew you were gonna say something.
Yeah.
Ants are busy.
The ants are busy, but it's what are you busy doing?
Right.
Is the important thing.
Yeah.
It's very easy to be busy. You know,
it is.
It's funny because I was talking. Danielle said, "Shit, I gotta go to the store and get this and get that." I'm like, order on Amazon. Like, you know, you don't have to, you know, try to, you know.
Yeah.
But that's what we do. You know what I'm saying? We like the act of being busy.
Running around.
It makes us feel like we're getting it done.
Yeah.
And then we go after the feeling versus the result sometimes.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So that's something. And then you just make sure, like, whatever lane you're operating in, you have like a guide, you have somebody that you're looking up to. It doesn't take away. And that's something else that I've been seeing too, is a lot of people posting, like, you don't hear nobody talking mess about the people that are like not below them, but the ones that are not as successful as them. You know, like, it's a lot of us talking about that Nicki Minaj and Cardi B stuff, but if you see the other celebrities, they're kind of like, well, they just need to chill or whatever. But it's a lot of us on this level trying to take sides and stuff, or like trying to like come for Nicki Minaj, like X, Y, and Z. But it's like when you get to a certain level, it's just like, you know, she doing what she doing, but I still got to go and get mine. So you kind of just don't worry about it. So I'm definitely in a season of my life right now. I think maybe because it's the end of the year, I'm just kind of like trying to shift mindsets, and trying to be like more on a productive mindset when it comes to like me as a person, when it comes to like my mental health, when it comes to what I'm doing at work. Just trying to be more productive in everything so that like I'm not lacking when it simply comes to like at the end of the day. I don't feel like I haven't done anything, or I don't feel like I'm depleted. But let me look at the comments. Shout out to Didier Gomez. Be around those that know what you don't. Direction is much more important than speed. Many are going nowhere fast. Don't mind me. I'm talking.
Shout out to D Gomez, by the way. He's a huge fan of the station.
Hey, thanks for tuning in.
Everything, so that's my guy right there.
So yeah, direction. He said direction is much more important than speed. Yes, that's really good, D Gomez. Because if you're going somewhere fast and you haven't put in like the GPS, or you haven't really sat down and mapped out where you're going, you're gonna end up on the other side of town or whatever, and your like goal is all the way in Long Beach, but you somewhere in Santa Monica. Like, and being in Santa Monica, if you think of like life and stuff, being in Santa Monica is nowhere near Long Beach. So then you still have a longer distance to travel if you didn't really sit down and map out where you're going. So I really like that. Thank you for tuning in. But this is a something you can tap on in with Keith. There was a post that I saw about energy vampires. Have you heard of that? So it's basically like people that are narcissists, people that are like overbearing, people that kind of like take from people. Basically, I mean, it's pretty like self-explanatory. Like, you just drain people of energy,
right?
And I saw it, and I'm like, not that I felt like attacked or anything, but I'm just like, I feel like we all carry narcissist characteristics. I feel like we all at some point in time are overbearing for certain things. And then at the end of the day, I'm like, the post was saying to stay away from energy vampires, but I'm like, if you are protecting your energy, I don't think anybody can really come into your space and take what it is that you've like grown within yourself.
Oh, they can.
You think so?
Absolutely. And I would say because some people are that good. Some people have that their energy is overbearing to yours. You may not have enough of that shield, you know. Like, I'll give an example. Like, there's a bulletproof vest only stops certain bullets. If you kind of see what I'm saying. They don't. Right. Certain bullets still gonna get through that vest.
Right.
You know. So I think that you know, I think they exist. I mean, I call them trolls even on Instagram. You know, sometimes trolls they have that same type of energy vampire, if that's what you want to call it.
But can they really like take, if you're building and you're up to a point where it's just like, you know, you're not that you're like perfect, but you're at a point where you've grown within yourself, I think you can kind of like call a spade a spade. Like from a distance, you can be like, okay, that is what it is. And even though I have you sitting in my presence, it's still like, not that I have a guard up, but I know to keep you at a distance. I know that you can't pass this barrier that's up or whatever.
Yeah, but then it's like, okay, what's the distance that you keep them at? Like,
I don't think like kind of just in your mental, like, okay, we're here and that's that. Like, we do business together. This is something that Dre is talking about, like compartmentalizing people.
Yeah.
So we do business, but we don't need to be together for the Christmas party. You don't have to come for the Christmas party, even though we cool with business, but you just stay over there. Or if it's family, it's like, okay, I keep you as family, but when it comes to my business, you got to go and run your own stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I've one of my earlier mentors, I call him like my personal development mentor. He did really person that really got me into books and all that stuff. He was like, some people you can spend an hour with, you don't spend a day with. And I think that kind of serves to your point, what you're saying. You just got to, there's certain place and times for everybody. There's some people you go to club with, and there's some people you do business with.
Right.
There's some people that you're friends with, there's some people you can be in a relationship with. So I think it's just kind of like you said, like Dre said, or even compartmentalizing, putting them in a place that's best suitable for you. Even having a conversation with somebody, see how you respond to somebody else. What do they do for your personality? Do they, make your personality, do they change you? Do you like the person you are when you're with this person?
Right.
Success is measured by the company you keep. So I truly believe that. So, who you are around does affect how you feel, period. And we all know that. We know that. There's some people we around.
I mean, it's even from when you're a child, when you're in school. You kind of like, and that's just something that I brought up, like maybe with the beginning of when I started doing the show. But kids, they'll come home like, hey, I don't want to play. Like, you're not my friend, or I don't want to play. And it's because like they can't really like, oh, she being fake and she went over there to X, Y, and Z. But it's like whatever she did, it didn't make me feel good.
Right.
And they're like, I just don't want to feel like that with that person. So that's why. And they kind of get over it quickly, but it's something I'm like, connecting to your child, like the inner child in you, sometimes does serve purpose, because at that age, we went pure off feelings. And it was like, even if somebody was saying something in front of us, it was like, but you made me feel like this, and I don't really like that. But now we're like, someone can constantly keep making us feel a way, but we go off their words.
Even like how we play, like, oh, you think you cute, like those playful, like those negative humorous things that we do, those do have an effect, where if your friend is cute and they walk in and say you ain't cute, even though we may be saying it in a humorous way, that still has an effect, and the brain doesn't decipher what's good or bad. It just takes what it's getting. So it's important to recognize those things too. Even if they're your friend, I'm just playing. You can't take a joke. No, I can't take a joke. Or when somebody, I'm real big when people say little. You know how I can't stand that.
Like,
you got your little show. You got your little show going on.
Right. And people, and I realized, like, my mother does that. And I had, like, even when I was younger, I'll be like, and she would say it, not when I was younger, because I wasn't really doing anything for her to be like, little this, little that, but like to other people. And I'm like, do you realize, like, you're calling something that's good to them or big to them little? Like, oh, I see you with your little husband or whatever. And it's like, why are you belittling? But it was just something that she did. And now I'm at a point now where with my parents, even like when they preach and stuff like that, I'm like, yo, you said X, Y, and Z, and that's out. Like, I think I'm at a point now where we can just have those conversations where it's not like, well, you can't tell me anything because you're a child, but it's like, okay, well, you got to really look at what you're saying and really like kind of match it with what it is that you're trying to push out. It doesn't match.
Yeah.
So that was something. I know recently my mother, shout out to her if she's listening, she preached about abortion. She didn't preach about abortion, but she mentioned abortion in her message. Okay. And she said that my grandfather has a statement that he says, like, the womb is not a tomb. And she was basically saying, like, you shouldn't have abortions or whatever. Like, you're killing the baby or whatever. And I'm like, I'm just like, so what happens when they get raped? And I go, what happens when they know that they can't take care of this child? I go, during your message, you just made the person that did get raped and had a child, or did get raped and had the abortion, feel completely horrible because of what you said. And I'm like, sometimes we say things and we don't realize that there are gray areas. And I think in today's society, it's like, you know, it's not the church that's back in the day where everybody was just like, you know, this is what it is. This is how it is. It's like you have different people. And if you're trying to reach out to people, you can't say stuff like that. You know, you can go ahead and say like, I don't know. You can say something like use contraceptives or something, but don't tell them like, make them feel like they're murderers for aborting the baby when it's like you wasn't about to take care of my child.
So what's your stance on abortion?
On abortion, I think that there are certain times where it happens where yes, the mom and the dad or the mom she's allowed to or allotted to go get that without being looked at as morally wrong. And I think that's a good thing where I didn't really understand. I didn't really look at that rape thing until someone actually brought their story to me. And it's like, I now have a child and it is hard to love them all the time because they came out of so much pain.
Right.
And they came before I could even heal from the situation.
So, okay. So let's do this. Let's take rape off the table because I think that's one of those situations. Like I think any situation you can split a hair. I'm not saying that's splitting hair. I'm just comparing it to that's a severe situation where you have to take that differently than the average situation. The average situation is not rape. You know, for most of the time it's a bad decision somebody made or they didn't want to. You know,
and I think with bad decisions too, if that parent is not ready to bring their child in. Now working with children and literally being like, this child did not ask to be here and they're going through hell at 4 years old. It's like, okay.
But I don't think it's even, I mean, I'm not going to say it's hell. Like, I mean, I'll put my, I've had, you know, more than one abortion. I'll just say that, you know, which now I feel totally different about. I was a lot younger, you know, at the time. But I don't think that what the child would have been. I think I still would have been an amazing father regardless.
Right.
So it really had nothing to do with, you know.
But that's
yeah.
Because I'm thinking about the ones that are the parents that are either strung out or the parents that are battling with being homeless or whatever and literally have seen children like or heard about, okay, so and so just had a child and I'm just like, that baby is like What can they offer their child?
Well, most people I know that had abortions, it wasn't that. I was never the situation, and I know quite a few. You know,
it
was like, oh, you know, there was, you know, raped, or it was a situation where they just didn't want a child. That's all it was. It was like, and the people, they still together at this point. You know what I mean? And they didn't even break up or nothing.
And if you're able to have a child and take care of the child and you're in a good mindset, then you should have used the contraceptive. And that's what I think, like, okay, that's kind of like, not even a gray area. It's just like okay, you was just doing it because you're selfish. You didn't want to use the contraceptive. Now you have a child. Now you're aborting the child out of being selfish. But then what happens is they're aborting their children, but the ones that are not able to take care of them are having them and passing them on to the grandparents, basically.
Yeah, that happens too.
So I'm like, they're not the ones that, I don't want to say need to, but the ones that don't need to be parents are still having children. And you have people that are more prominent. They're the ones that are having like the abortions and stuff. And I feel like, not that it should be the other way around, but if you're good, like I think on Married to Medicine, there's a lady on there and she has money, like a lot of money. Her husband is a doctor. She has businesses of her own or whatever. And I've been watching the show for like 4 years and she's just like, yeah, I don't want to have kids. I don't want to have kids.
How about everybody just go freeze their eggs? How about we give free egg freezing around here, and then nobody got to worry about it. Then you can just get pregnant when you want to. Then you ain't got to worry about it.
Even if you're like 50?
Yeah.
That's not good. You're going to be like 70.
I know. I'm just talking shit.
But what do you think about the Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade? So they just had
explain to me.
But
I know they had a child, but I don't know the details.
I don't necessarily know if she chose not to carry the child because of health reasons, because she has had some miscarriages in the past.
Whoa. Okay, no, now you got to back up. Now you got to tell me
they didn't abort the child. They just had a child.
They had a surrogate mother.
Yes.
So, like, explain to me like what the process was for that.
I think you get your eggs and his sperm.
And they implanted it in somebody else's body.
Yes. Yeah. But it's your child.
Okay, so a surrogate mother. So pretty much.
So
I wonder how much they paid that person.
A lot of money. And she was quiet the whole time because I didn't hear anything about it.
I feel like I saw a picture with Gabrielle Union in the bed, like.
Yeah, and okay, so please don't come for me, those that you guys that are listening. But I was kind of like, what's going on here? And somebody like posted like, they have to do that to make her or make the baby feel a certain way or whatever. Because I guess once the surrogate had the baby, they take the baby and give it to the mother. So the surrogate doesn't even get to hold the baby, I don't think. So then Gabrielle Union, I guess, can't just be like sitting in the chair like, oh, I got the baby. I guess it's kind of like a sanitary thing. I don't know. But it did look a little extra, but people with money.
Yeah. She
got money. So she was like, let me do all of this. Tell
about her snapback is crazy.
But she was never pregnant. So,
I know. I was about to say,
so I'm like,
damn.
And I'm like, I understand because she wrote a book. I have not read the book, but she has been through a lot of miscarriages. And she was saying with her career, she was like, I've tried to get pregnant. I've tried, but it just wasn't happening. So with the surrogate, she kind of was able to, have the child. Jackie said it's skin-to-skin connection. So that's why, I guess.
Would you... See, now that's tricky because I don't know what the possible birth defects is from that. I don't know. Like, how does that... Like, how would you feel if, your mom, your dad told you, like, yo, you were...
born from
essentially a test tube baby, you know what I mean? Or,
if I was, it would be a mixed feeling. I don't know because it's not the same as saying like your dad is not your daddy.
Is okay? What makes that person the mother? Is it the person who birthed you, or is the
I guess DNA? Because that's still her. That's like she's gonna grow up looking like Gabrielle and Dwayne.
But the umbilical cord was connected to.
So and that's for me as like a woman. I'm just like, I can't imagine. And I know like Gabrielle Union. That's why I'm like, it's no shade to her at all. But I know like she was dying to have a child, literally dying, like physically dying to have a child. Right. And this was the only option. And when you have money, you can do that. There's a lot of people who are wanting to have children and cannot because they don't have the money.
Yeah.
Now she has had the money, probably paid. Whoever is probably sitting on the island right now.
Yeah, you gotta pay somebody to do something to deform their body for the rest of their life, and then not even. And I wonder how with the emotional,
and especially since it was their children.
Yeah,
their daughter.
That's interesting.
And I'm like, I feel like okay, yeah, you heard the number amount. I'd be like, yeah, have your baby or whatever. But then at the end of 9 months to not have that child, I'll be like, I feel like you have to be a numb person to not want to be connected to the child.
Well, I think that's the same thing as having like a foster child and giving away at birth. I feel like it has the same effect.
But I feel like because the surrogate is doing it for money. So the person that is birthing this child this is their child. It was never her child to begin with. And maybe she's like through the 9 months, she's like, oh, of course she built a connection with the child. For 9 months, this human is growing inside you. I would be like, no, I need to keep this child. Like, or can I come see it or something?
Yeah, and that's, well, I don't know. Well, that's tricky, man. I don't know.
Tricky.
But I mean, hey, I think everybody got their own method. I don't think there's one way to do anything traditionally. Do
you think it's right that they kept her a secret?
No, I think that's the best that they did that because they're famous, and as far as Drake is concerned, I'm not keeping the world away. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm keeping, but I think it was a smart move based on their status, and you have to take that into account. They can't just be. They are stars. They are famous superstars. They're famous. So the lens on them is magnified times 1,000.
Right.
If they take a piss outside, on a tree, it's a big deal.
Right.
So I think it was a wise thing.
So, okay, another question. Do you think that if there's someone who is not able to bear the child, I mean, not bear the child, but let's say, like, the couple cannot get pregnant because of the man or the woman, does that, like, make them less of something because they can't,
no,
like, procreate?
I think that's between the two people, because everybody has a different philosophy on life, you know, and if those two philosophies match, I think that's most important. Somebody may not be cool with that, but that's also not that person for you, you know. So,
but what if you are, like, if you did get together and you're like, well, like, now we both want to have kids? I think that's a tough hit. Like, we both want to have kids, but when we went to the doctor, we realized, like, oh, you know, so and so couldn't, you know, hold up their end of whatever. They couldn't.
I don't think D Wade was really tripping as much because he got two kids.
No, wait, he got 3.
He got 3. My bad. Okay.
Because he has two boys, and he had the baby on Gabrielle Union.
Oh,
and I know that
he did have a side
hit
baby.
Her. That had to hit her.
Yeah.
So she was like, "You're going to give me a child," and that probably came out of his check.
And he was probably like, "Whatever process is necessary, I'm down for." Like, once again, now the situation different. The philosophy has to be different because she probably wanted a child. You gave this random woman a child.
That has to really hurt. Like, as a woman, and she's been like, I've been trying. I don't have any children. She's older than him, isn't she?
I think so.
Yeah, maybe by a few years. But I'm
time
like,
to Google that.
Right. I'm like, I would be so hurt. And all of these niggas out here cheating. And making it seem like it's I don't know.
She's 46 and Dwayne Wade is 36.
Oh, so it's
Jesus
10 years.
Christ.
Dang.
She look good for 46. But
she does though.
I mean, she's look good, period. But
this shit is so, like, how do you feel about, like, what's his name? Like Kevin Hart. The Kevin Hart. So Dwayne Wade has his little spill. T.I. You heard about T.I. and Tiny, right?
I don't be knowing what the hell's going on.
So T.I. has been getting caught cheating, and
I would cheat on Tiny too.
Okay, that's neither here nor there. You probably wouldn't marry Tiny.
I wouldn't. You're
okay,
right. Yeah.
So T.I. has been caught cheating on Tiny, and they recently were on their show called Family Hustle, and he goes, "You're not mad at me. You're mad at the people that keep sending you these videos because before." We would have one conversation about it, and we would dead the situation. He was like, I didn't just start doing this, and you know this. So he's basically he's been cheating all along. Kevin Hart cheated on Tori, and then also cheated on Iniko while she was pregnant.
Right, I remember that.
And I'm like, you just see it. I don't even know if you just see. Yeah, you see it a lot more often now, so I think it's being talked about a little more now. But I think maybe back in the day, it was kind of like on the wraps. Or under wraps.
These dudes that are famous, man. I mean, they are getting. You know, it's just interesting, man. I mean, dudes cheat, women cheat. You know, what I mean, people cheat. You know, I think that it's just for the man in general. When men usually, I don't know, it's just different from when they cheat. Like, I feel like when a female cheats on a man, the guy she's cheating with is keeping it under wraps too. Like, he ain't really tripping as much. Like, dudes don't be really caring if they got a man. So they gonna be like, okay, we can both keep this under. Like, if I'm smashing Gabrielle Union, I'm keeping it under wraps. Like, I'm not even trying to go public.
What if you're like
if I'm smashing
Carmelo
Oprah,
Anthony smashing Gabrielle Union while she's with Dwayne?
Well, see, and that's what I'm saying. That Carmelo Anthony is more likely to keep that under wraps because just men don't be like I've been in a situation where I'm literally having some type of sexual encounter with the female while she's on the phone with her man talking about she love him.
You?
Yes, that's not and that's not an uncommon thing.
Really?
Dead ass serious. Like I've been with married women before. It's not an uncommon thing. I think it's just not publicized. And then on top of that, dudes be telling they guys, they tell their homeboys. A lot of females, they'll cheat and don't tell their homegirls because of the way it makes them still appear.
Wait, so you're saying dudes will be like, oh, yo, I'm cheating on.
Well, it just be like, yeah, it's more likely for a dude to discuss, his affairs with, you know what I'm saying,
homies.
or what his homies, it's less likely for a woman to share her affairs.
And you see that
because
in
of
TV
the whole thing and
now
all that stuff.
because
Yeah,
even speaking of Gabrielle Union, with her, I forgot what show she was on. Being Mary Jane. She was dating or having sex with, dating, whatever, a married man. And her friends were like not behind her back, but they would like basically be like, you know you wrong for sleeping with that man or whatever. But I think with homies or like niggas, it would kind of be like, good job.
I'm not gonna. No, I'll take that. I'm not gonna say good. I've had a talk with one of my friends, and I was like, hey, bro, you need to chill. Like, you got a good woman. So, you know, and of course it's at a different age now, and I'm saying, you know what I'm saying? So I think it's just different. I think the whole idea around it is different anyway, especially with social media. It's a lot more difficult to cheat anyways.
Is it?
And yes, it is.
Okay, what is the percentage of men that you think cheat?
I don't know.
No,
I don't know.
But you think it's a lot?
I don't know. I think it's a lot. I think a lot of men have cheated. Let me say that. You know, I'm not going to say
at least
are
once.
cheating. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
In a relationship. And I think it's a large percent of women who have cheated. Now, they may not have necessarily had sex, but it all depends on what the case is.
Right.
However, people do cheat. I think that there's a man that can make you cheat on your man. It's got to be the right one, the right situation, the right time.
Right.
And a lot of factors play into it. And a lot of times the woman has to like him. You know what I'm saying? Was it Eddie Murphy?
You have to open yourself up to that.
Well, no,
so
not
I think,
even.
But I think because even like right now in my relationship, I'm like I'm not open to like if there's somebody, if we're in an environment and I'm like this. Usually when I'm in this environment, I know that I can pull a dude if I want to. So when I go into the environment, I'm like, I'm making sure that this is not that, or maybe I'm leaving early, or maybe I'm not drinking like that. I'm not even engaging in conversation because usually I'll be sitting over there on your lap or something like that. But
no.
But with me, that's where it is, where I'm in the relationship that I'm in now. When I'm in places where I'm like, oh, usually, I just like to talk, and I'm like, I'm bold, and I'll just say some shit like, yo, you look X, Y, and Z or whatever, and I'll be like, oh, what's up?
Well, see, I like, once again, it depends on who it is. I think I asked on Never Not Extra. I was like, yo, would you go on a date with Chris Brown? Or I was just asking like different questions or whatever, you know. But Eddie Murphy said it the best. He said, women have affairs and men cheat. You know,
and an affair is like a long lasting,
like a woman, like they act like it's not just, oh, I meet you. Sometimes it does, but from what I've recognized, it's been a growing thing. Right. You know, they've been friends or whatever the case may be, and a situation happened, boom, and then it end up.
And then
man
is just like maybe one night.
A man, he'll pay for it. You know what I'm saying? I don't even want to know.
That's so sick.
I mean, but that's just the way
right.
it's viewed totally different. You know, sex is more recreational for men versus women. It's a lot more, you know, internal. Obviously, it's a whole different process.
So, do you think if you know that you don't want to be monogamous, but you probably want your wife to be monogamous, that you should proceed in getting married?
Monogamy to me is relationship. That's not cheating. Monogamous and all that and polygamous is having multiple relationships. It's not just cheat. It's not having.
So if you feel like, I'm saying if you feel like you're gonna step outside of the boundaries of a monogamous relationship, meaning like you are having those.
I don't think niggas plan on cheating. I don't think people. I
think they know.
No, I'm gonna tell you like this. Look, a lot of the women that I've had sex with in the past or whatever truly believe that they wasn't gonna have sex with me. How many times have women sent that text? You know, we're not doing nothing tonight, right. and they believe it. Right. They truly believe like it's not gonna happen.
I think at some point,
I've never done this before. How many? I could hundreds of men.
But I think they know at the end of the day, because I know even I've been in certain situations where I'm like, I'm not. But at the end of the day, if it happened, it did happen, and I had to go like, okay, because I shouldn't have showed up if that's what I didn't want.
But the reality is, initially, you didn't plan on it, and you didn't think it was. And that's what I'm saying. Like I don't think that women or men are planning themselves at the beginning and say, oh, I'm not going to do this, and they intentionally believe that they are. I think that they're not accounting for the emotional state that they're going to be in once, you know, it's a lot of factors. Like, I didn't think I was really going to be feeling this dude like this. One, I think it was going to get this far. I think I was going to be having this much of a good time. I know it's going to be that funny. I know it's going to be this attractive. Damn, he smell good. Oh my God, is that abs? Like, it's a lot of factors that start coming into play where, you know, or when you go out to you know, I'm not going to drink. I'm only going to drink one drink and you end up getting super drunk.
Right.
So the intent is always not the result. And for me, I know it's like, okay, if I'm in a situation, the probability of me cheating is higher than a certain situation. So I think that's what people think too highly of themselves. They think they got so much willpower, and it's not true.
Yeah.
You got to be honest with yourself.
And that's why I think you have to like get to a point where you have boundaries. And I was at the studio with at the Hub yesterday, and it was about, they asked a question about platonic relationships. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you know, you have to have boundaries. If you know, like, in these environments you get like this, or you know, when you start drinking, you become more open to flirting and stuff, but you're in a relationship, it's like, okay, you have to know when to cut it off, when to leave, or you have to know when you come in. Like when I used to go to the Hub, we used to drink and drink and drink. Right. Like, and it was just like nothing of course happened there, but it was just like if somebody did like approach me like, yo, X, Y, and Z, it was like, okay, this is what was happening.
There's a whole lot of shit that happens too that nobody's speaking about,
right?
Because it's not good for the environment,
right?
And you know, you find out later like, damn, y'all was fucking around, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, once again, that goes back to, you know, I mean, especially at jobs. I mean, work environments is...
And you ain't even drinking at work.
Work environment is the number one place for affairs.
Right.
Is people, because they spending time with these people every day.
Right.
They talk to them every day. They're getting to know them. They're getting finesse. Like I said, you may not, you know, I'm not going to get this job to cheat on my husband.
Right.
Like, that's not the intent, you know. But over time, you know, it builds. You build that relationship, and then it becomes, oh, let's go to lunch. You know, it's nothing. You know, whatever the case may be, and it builds from there. So,
but do you think so let's say you're going to work and you're in a relationship, and there's a woman that's like, you guys are getting close. I think that should be like cut off. So not cut off, but there should be boundaries in between that. Before it gets to a point where you're like, oh, I'm really feeling this woman.
Boundaries break down over time is what I'm saying.
You think so?
Yes, because I give you an example.
Do you create new ones then?
Possibly, but I would say it depends on how much interaction is happening over time. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just like I think every man understands this. If you want a woman, just keep going after her. Eventually she'll give in. She you know, that's there's.
I mean, it depends.
How do you spell love?
LOVE.
No, TIME. Okay. That's how you spell love. That's how you make people fall in love with you. That's how you fall in love with people. Time, and that's how you feel love. If you're not spending time with somebody, you don't even feel like love is there.
Right.
So time is really the catalyst.
So that's what I'm saying. You should limit the time that you're spending with that person.
Well, or you know, the kind of time you're spending with that person. I'm not gonna say limit the time, but the kind of time you're spending with that person.
I'm like, okay, even now. So prior to me being in a relationship, I've always been around niggas. I hope, you know, the boys basketball team was always with us. Like, it was just throughout my whole life. Even now that I started working, my male coworkers, I'm like, yo, what's up? You want to go out? You want to do this? Whatever. And then you figure out, like, okay, this nigga is feeling me. Or if it's a group of niggas, at least one of them is feeling you. So even now that I'm in a relationship, I don't connect. I don't go or allow those relationships to form.
Right.
And it's just like one of those things where before, me and one of my male coworkers, we would get in the car and go get lunch all the time. Right. And now I'm at a new job, so I'm like, now these men that I'm around, and granted, there's not that many black men at my job now, but at first I was working around a whole bunch of black
automatically
men.
Y'all connect because
and then level. Like, you know, oh, let me follow you on Instagram. They see what I'm doing. People always want to talk about the radio show or like home, whatever, me traveling, whatever. So I'm just at a point now where it's like, I'm not completely like, you know, I got a boyfriend. It's just you ain't even need to know that I'm in a relationship, but I'm not about to allow this relationship to form.
You know, one of my homeboys, it just casual conversation, and he had brought you up, you know what I'm saying? And he was like, hey, you know, that jazz girl, he was like, man, like, it's something about her that like is attractive, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, I just find it like you know, he didn't say sexy, I don't want to get you, but he was just saying like, and what he was saying, he was like, just how active you are, what you're doing. He was like, he was attracted to that. You know what I'm saying? And he's in a relationship, he's happy or whatever.
Right.
But he would just bring up the point like, yo, like I find that about her really, really gravitating.
Appreciate
Like
that.
I gravitate to that. So, sometimes it's different things. Like like I said, you may not have known this person was this, that, and the third.
Right.
And then now you're like, yo, like I didn't know you was doing all this. Like this is kind of,
Right.
now I'm starting to be attracted to you because
Right.
I'm starting to learn more about you. I thought you was just, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like
whatever.
I had a dude tell me he thought I was older than what I was, and he thought I had kids. So I would come in and we would have conversations, and I would, give my spiel
Everybody
about.
think you're older than what you are.
Yeah, so I'm giving
you
my
do got
spiel. I give my spiel about community and how people need to do better, whatever, in whatever conversation I'm in. And he's like, he like asked me a question one time, and it would kind of like threw me off, and I'm like, what are you asking me that for? And he was just like, because why do you come in here talking like that, but you doing X, Y, and Z? And I'm like, I don't have kids.
Right.
He was just like, you don't? And I'm like, no. He was like, how old are you? And I'm like, I think I was 22, 21 at the time. He was like, well, I completely misjudged you. He was like, I thought you was like 30-something with kids still working
and
here.
the fact that you're younger makes you a more attractive person. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of things, like I said, there's a lot of things that you may not have accounted for until you start to spend that time with that person.
Right.
And you start to learn.
Or they start spending time on my Instagram.
I got women attracting me just on the strength that I am with Peyton. That's attractive.
And that's
you know
a
what
real
I'm saying?
thing. That's a real thing.
So they may be like, man, this nigga
I
never
think
shaved.
seeing men, I'm going
But-
to say black men, with their children is a very, like, attractive thing.
And speaking of that, I just came by because I missed you, and I feel like I ain't seen
Are
you.
you
in a few
leaving?
weeks. I gotta go back to being
What
the
time
dad.
you have to? Oh, what
yeah,
time you
yeah.
have
I
to
got
go back?
painting at the right now. I'm painting at the house.
Oh,
But yeah, so
okay.
I just wanted
I'm
to
about
come by.
wrap up the show.
I
But
just wanted to come by and say what's up and see you. You know what I'm saying?
He was gonna bring me Starbucks. I'm on a juice detox
I'm
for
not
3
mad.
days.
You know what? I'm on a smoke drinking detox right now. I'm
I
not
thought you
smoking.
been stopped smoking.
No, I ain't been stopped smoking. But I just decided that I wanted to challenge myself.
And I haven't.
grow
I
myself.
actually haven't smoked. My boyfriend, he was just like, well, I told him, and he thought I couldn't do it. So I'm like, oh, you think I can't
Hey,
do it?
I fuck with him, man. Like,
Really?
yeah, man. I don't know if I'm a good reader, but I read energy. Really, I feel like that's one of my gifts. I can just read. Just the way their posture, I read all that. Maybe it's because the communications background, but
Right.
I, view him. This is how he introduces himself, how he handles himself in public, how he handles himself in certain spaces. And I've only met him like twice, I think. But and then based on the people who do fuck with him
Right.
and knowing who you are and knowing who Dre is, I'm like, yo, I fuck with him, man. Like
That's good.
I can see why Jazz fuck with him. You know what I'm saying? So, anyways, man, I like his. I like his demeanor. You know what I'm saying? So, anyways, love y'all. Y'all make sure y'all fucking follow Jazz or whatever. Listen to whatever she say. All right.
I gotta
Check
call
it
you
out.
too. I'll call you sometime. No, I'm gonna call you today because I was supposed to call you this week.
That's cool.
But that's Keith. Always good conversations. I'm about to wrap up the show. And shout out to being a dad. But shout out to D Gomez. He said reinforce your boundary. You gotta maintain everything these days. You definitely do. And as you guys know, I am in a relationship. So because I genuinely do care about the person that I'm with, and I care about making sure that I keep my end of the bargain up, I'm very intentional. Now, when it comes to interactions with other people and people of the opposite sex, like, I'm just very at that point where I don't tell people like, oh, I have a boyfriend. I don't even need to do that, because before it gets to that point, I'm already making sure this is a short conversation, or we only talk when something is needed. And no, it's not that I'm being controlled or anything like that. It's just that I feel like that's the right thing to do. Just because I think in this day and age, a lot of people don't respect relationships. And if you don't respect like what I'm doing with my man, then you're gonna have to be like exited stage left. So before I need to exit you, I'm just gonna make sure you stay at a distance. So I still do have my homies that are like Keith, Dre, Rio, 100K Day, all of them. But they know what's up, and they respect what is going on. So it never was anything like outside of just friendship. So that's that. I'm actually going to get ready to go pop up at the Hub Radio. Shout out to them. Make sure you follow us at the Hub Radio. They're always doing cool things. I'm in a really happy mood. Yesterday I was not, but today I am. And I'm very grateful for the platforms and the people that love on me. I'm just so grateful for that. So, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you tune in every Saturday morning at 10. We had a dope conversation with Keith Good News, the mastermind behind the Good News radio station. But yeah, I got some dope stuff coming to y'all pretty soon. So make sure you stay tuned and listen. Thank you guys for tuning in, Jackie, Keith, and Didier Gomez. I really appreciate that. Also, if you guys are looking to get healthy, make sure you hit up MJ at Something About MJ. She's doing like vegan meals. She's doing juice detoxes. She's doing it all. And I just got my 3-day cleanse. I'm not eating nothing. I'm just doing juice. So make sure you hit her up. Prices are dummy reasonable. Hit her up. I'm doing it. Next Saturday, I will let you guys know what took place with me and this drink. But I can't wait to finish on Monday. Shout out to you, Tay Dog, for always listening. Jackie, I love you. Thank you. I will catch you guys, and also have a blessed, great Thanksgiving. I'm not into all of the hoopla about whatever Thanksgiving is, but at the end of the day, it is a day that reminds us to be grateful every single year. Just to be grateful. With the kids that I work with now, they have shown me to be grateful because they're grateful for the things that they have, and they're lacking quite a bit. So even as, like I said, the week was tough, like I still have to think about my babies and think of how grateful I should be to be living the life that I'm living, to have the activity of my limbs, to have the mind that I have, for my mind to be developed. So like I said, regardless of how Thanksgiving started, let's take what was given to us. Take this time out to appreciate your family. Take this time out to be extremely grateful for what it is that you have, because I promise you, the next person doesn't have what you have. And even if that person has something that you don't have, you still have what it is that you have. So be grateful. I cannot stress that enough. I'm literally sitting here in the studio like just chills, because I'm like, gratitude is something that will take you places that you never have been. It'll take you places in your mental health. It'll take you places in your spiritual walk that you have never been. And it prepares you to go to the higher places in your actual life. So be grateful. Be very, very grateful for where you are right now. And even if it looks tough, like, be grateful. God is always good. And He's always gracious and always giving. Always giving. So be grateful. And then also next Sunday, we are doing a homeless drive. So if you have anything that you would like to donate, hit us up. As we're giving to, the less fortunate. But yeah, that also keeps me humble and makes me just want to like jump up and down with gratitude. But that's that. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm signing off now. I will catch you guys next Saturday after Thanksgiving. Have a blessed, like I said, a great Thanksgiving Thursday. Bye. And be safe if you guys go shopping on Black Friday. Be very safe because people are crazy. Okay, bye.